Welcome back to Live from Paris, where it's now time for business. Catherine Nicholson joins me in the studio. Hello to you, Catherine.
Hi there.
So we're starting our business update with news that's sure to put a smile on Spanish bankers' faces.
Yes, they're getting 100 billion euros worth of bailout from the European Union, a third of it, in fact, coming from Germany, which we know is the strongest economy in the European Union. This is money that they really desperately need. Spanish banks have been in trouble for quite a long time. Massive holes in their balance sheets. We know that the Spanish property bubble burst a few years ago, and that left them with a lot of bad loans and toxic debts. So good news and relief for the financial sector, but there are concerns that there could be wider economic problems and a state bailout that could be needed. Joe Tandy's been looking into it.
The green light from German lawmakers for Spain's bank bailout. Thursday's vote in Berlin clearing the way for the Eurozone's €100 billion aid package.
Without the extreme uncertainty on the financial markets, Spain would be in a position to get its banking sector in order on its own. But in this exceptional situation, we're helping the Spanish state against the financial markets' excessive nervousness.
Madrid sought help recapitalising the country's banks back in June. Spain's financial sector weakened by the collapse of a real estate bubble. Now Germany, Europe's biggest economy, is set to guarantee nearly 30% of the Spanish bailout. But it's not just the state of Spain's banking sector that's riled investors' nerves. On Thursday, interest rates on Spanish bonds once again rose above 7%. Some worry that after the banks, the Spanish government will soon need its own bailout.
The system is being financially strangled. There will be fewer and fewer investors for Spanish bonds. The situation is very difficult, and we are going to need help, and that implies supporting the euro.
On Thursday, the Spanish government pushed a €65 billion austerity package through Parliament. That sparked protests in the streets of Madrid, the spending cuts falling heaviest on consumers, civil servants and the unemployed.
Now the French finance minister is over in the United States at the moment. What's he up to, Catherine?
Pierre Moscovici has been speaking to IMF officials and generally trying to reassure everybody that everything is on track here in Europe to get us out of this crisis. He told reporters that European policymakers have made huge progress, in his words, in recent months. And he said he has confidence in the European Central Bank, although they've cut interest rates at such a low level now that we're not sure there's anything much more that they can do. It's probably up to the politicians now. Our Washington correspondents caught up with Mr. Moscovici, and he said that he does think that progress is being made on several fronts. Take a listen.
There's expectation, there's worry. That's been partially reassured by the European Council, which I think has come up with a deep and lasting solution to the European crisis. There are also worries about putting decisions into effect, because sometimes the process is too long and too complicated.
Pierre Moscovici there spending some time with his predecessor, Christine Lagarde. But we're staying here in France. The head of Peugeot CEO has been responding to the crisis in his company, which is quite grave.
Quite grave, and they announced 8,000 job cuts last week, which we've all been talking about almost every single day since then, because it's just such a big shock and a massive blow to French industry overall, not to mention the French car sector. Now, Thierry Peugeot, we can see him there. He's on the front of the paper saying, "The counter-attack by Thierry Peugeot," hitting back basically how the government has been responding to this, because the socialist government hasn't been happy at all. They've been saying there's a lot more, surely, that Peugeot could do before they get to the point of cutting 8,000 jobs. Now, Thierry Peugeot, he's saying that all this criticism has weakened the company, made it potentially vulnerable to a hostile takeover even, and he says we're prepared to accept criticism, but there are limits.
He's probably going to come in for a lot more of that.
Yes, he needs to get used to it, probably.
Yes, he does. Needs to get a thick skin. Now, the titan of the computing world is waking up to some harsh figures this morning. Microsoft just made history for all the wrong reasons. Why?
Yeah, they've just posted their first ever loss, and this in 26 years of business, public business, I should say. It wasn't a total bolt from the blue. They had given a warning 2 weeks ago that these second quarter earnings figures would include a bit of a loss. It's because they've had to write off close to €5 billion of value from their online advertising business. So they've posted a loss of around €400 million in the second quarter of this year. That's down from around €5 billion in the same period last year, just for comparison.
The IT giant not very happy there. Right, we're going to whiz over to Asia and take a look at the markets there.
Okay, yeah, trade in Asia has been a bit up and down, it must be said, throughout the trading day. But the shares are looking to be on course for their biggest weekly gains since January. You can see there's been some pressure on the Nikkei. That's partly down to some pressure on exporters because of the strong yen, a story that we've been telling you for months and months and months now, not getting any easier for them, really.
Right, now today's the start of Ramadan, which is one of the biggest events in the Islamic calendar. You're here, Kat, to tell us about how businesses are set to profit from it.
There's always a business angle, isn't there?
Always.
I mean, Christmas is completely commercial. Why not Ramadan as well? Though we haven't got to the point of having Ramadan cards and things. This is all about food. Ramadan is, of course, based on food. It's about religious fasting during the daytime, but feasting after dark. And big spending is predicted on foodstuffs such as fermented milk, dates, halal food. We've been looking into some of the companies that are set to benefit.
Bustling with business, this Parisian market in the Barbès district, home to the capital's largest Muslim population, is packed full of people. Friday evening, millions of France's Muslims will begin their fast for Ramadan. Many people come here to stock up on last-minute provisions.
I'm getting some groceries just in case. That way, if we're too tired, you know, we're working and stuff, it's not easy to shop during Ramadan.
It's not a question of finding what we need. We live far away and these Eastern products are cheaper here.
It's also a good deal for the vendors who rely on the holiday rush to make ends meet.
Oh yes, I'd like it if this happened 4 times a year. It's very special and at least we get good business during this time.
Retail during Ramadan is estimated to be some 350 million euros. This supermarket in the Paris suburb set up special displays for the fast, replete with dates, filo pastry, and fermented milk. The manager says it's a time when the store's sales peak during the summer period.
It's a special time of year, a bit like Christmas, when people buy things like foie gras and smoked salmon. It's more or less the same thing.
It's a time of fast, but a recent study revealed a twist. During Ramadan, the average Muslim shopper spends 30% more this time of year.
Pretty tasty report there, Kat.
Yeah,
so less eating during the daytime but more feasting at night means more money for businesses in the end.
Exactly, and it's very interesting if you walk around Paris, which has a very big Muslim population, you see the shops, they are already there. They've got these big trays of dates, baklava, things all set and ready to go. And we have been hearing as well that a lot of people put on weight during Ramadan because they're eating lots of extra things and all these lovely, delicious, sugary goodies.
I suppose it's sort of fast and then binge, so you have to be careful about what you eat when you actually break that fast.
Getting their calories in when they break their fast.
So we've just got time now for one more story. Staying here in France, proof that the economic crisis affects everybody, even the poor president.
Yes, members of parliament stayed up all through the night to vote in the new French budget. It was, of course, agreed under the old Nicolas Sarkozy government, which is now out of power, so they've had to vote in some changes to it. One measure is to cut the president's salary by 30%. This also applies to the Prime Minister and the government ministers. It's not a revolution. It was one of François Hollande's own election pledges, so he has been expecting and wanting this. It means he'll be now on the paltry sum of just under 15,000 euros a month.
Not too shabby then.
When I first saw this, I thought he was going to be on 15,000 a year. I was like, oh no, 15,000 a month, that's all right.
Just and about the minimum wage there.
Yeah, ministers have also had a cut as well, so that'll probably be quite popular with voters.
Thank you very much for bringing us all the business news. Catherine Nicholson, stay with us here on Live from Paris. We have Cyril Vanier coming up with the headlines next. Bye-bye.